What's up, friends? It's your girl, Deanna Reese Williams, the DRW brand, personal brand. And welcome to, I'm going to say like series number 2 of vlogging. So back in the summertime, I was doing a lot of vlogging, felt like a lot, but really it boiled down to about, I don't know, like 17 videos in total. But the whole reason why that I decided to vlog in the first place is that I really wanted to document my experience as I've been navigating through becoming a personal brand. And so my life, let's just say this, has it slowed down? It has in its own ways. Thank you to academia, because then I'm forced to slow down. But I will be the first one to tell you this past summer was by far the most busiest summer I have had in years. I'm talking like when I think about social work time, when I think about my time in the classroom or any field that I have been in, I have never been so busy as I was this summer. I'm still busy, but it's a lot different because part of what I've had to learn, much like everyone else, is figuring out like how do you manage all the different tasks that you're required to do in your day-to-day 9 to 5 or whatever schedule that you have, especially with us being in the Zoom bubble. Some of you all are like already meeting back in person. In my case, we're still going to be working from home, at least for the next semester. And at this point, we're taking semester by semester. So in a lot of ways, like it's still great. I get to spend a lot of time with my family, although my daughter is still doing remote learning, and my husband is still at home too. And so it's just one of those things, we're just trying to find that balance. So part of what I figured out, and I think I mentioned this in one of the vlogs back in the summertime, because people would ask me these questions on like, how do you stay organized? Like, what do you do? And you know, there's several things. So one of the first things that I want to say is that I'm a very goal-oriented type of person. And shout out to my mom. And I have to give a shout out to her because I was one of those kids. I mean, here's the deal. I feel like egg on my face. The joke is really on me. So my mom was one of those moms that was like, you're going to read every day for 30 minutes. And this kid was like, not really having it. If I'm being honest. And here it is. I read all the time. There's never a time in my life that I'm not reading. So whether it's research, books, whatever. So I feel like I addressed this in one of the Facebook Lives. But also, she every year, and I feel like it was the beginning of the school year in which she would require me to set goals. It wasn't in January, which, you know what? I'm just having this moment and I'm realizing like, I always feel like my new year happens around July. Not in January. I feel like I set things for the next year. So I tend to see things in like the school schedule, school calendar. And so she would have me sit down and literally write my goals. Again, as a child, I was like, why am I writing goals? Like, I don't even understand what's the point of a goal. I don't get it. Well, let me tell you. I did not know that in writing those goals, it would be the very thing that I would basically be doing in my day-to-day life. So let me give you some examples. Because of goal setting, I learned at a very young age, and I want to say I was probably in the fourth, fifth grade when my mom started having me do goal setting, that I had to learn. And really it was like I had to teach myself. I feel like I had to kind of teach myself, or just, I don't want to say I taught myself because I'm sure she helped me navigate through those things, but it was more or less like she would check in to see where I was at with the goal. But it was really up to me to figure out how I was going to actually reach the goal. And part of what would also happen in me planning out my goals is that I really had to also figure out when I set a goal and maybe like the activity that I wanted to be a part of, people were not showing up. So like a really great example that I can vividly remember is I wanted to participate in the creative writing club. And this was we called it middle school. This was in Albuquerque. And I probably kind of mentioned something to this effect in my podcast. But what was interesting is that I showed up to the writing club, which took place in the library. And, I grew up with a family where we sat down and we had dinner every night. And so my mom would ask me, because she knew when the writing club would meet, right? And so she would ask me, how is the writing club? And I remember I went and there were students that showed up. I felt like maybe, I don't know, the first month or so, but definitely 3 months in, by the time Halloween and Thanksgiving, those holidays or whatever started to arrive, nobody was showing up in the library except me. And library, I have to say that correctly because my mom will correct me. Not even the teacher. The teacher did not show up. And I remember sitting there at the dinner table and my mom was like, you still have to show up. And I'm like, Mom, nobody else is there. Why am I going? She's like, you have to show up. So I literally was like, okay, fine. I literally would go to the library, show up, sit there for maybe 5 minutes, who knows, and then I would just leave because nobody else was showing up. But you know what that taught me? It taught me even when you have a goal, you have to persevere past, you have to persevere. When other people don't show up. And you have to figure out a way okay, so the creative writing club is still not happening, but is that going to stop me from writing? No, I still wrote in a journal. At the time, writing in a diary. I still did the things that I enjoyed doing in writing, but that was pretty much it. But it taught me that I still had to persevere when nobody else is showing up. So I guess my point is that very much has been the running theme of my own personal life and even in the space of building a brand. When you think you put in your heart, your soul to do these videos or do a podcast and you're like, okay, well, 5 people listened to the podcast this week. But then I have to think about why, was it marketing? Was it the topic? But even if only 5 people listened, it still didn't stop me from recording the next episode. At the end of the day, you still have to find a way to keep going. So I just wanted to say that. And now I'm going to talk about how am I keeping myself organized? Okay. So I got this bullet journal quite some time ago, and basically, and I say quite some time ago. So let me just say this. I love journals. Okay. Let me just put that out there. I just told you the story of the Creative Writing Club, right? That is a strong indicator that I like to write. Even though I can do things on the computer, I can do things over my phone like I'm doing right now. But at the end of the day, I just love to write. Just hand me a notebook and we're going to make it happen. Again, notebook. Shall I provide other examples? I don't even think I need to. But so I have a planner, and I believe I mentioned this in the summertime vlogs, and which are great. And I use those planners, but what I find for organizational purposes, I like to see the overall goal, but then I have to like start breaking down the goal and the task. And so shout out to the YouTubers that talk about bullet journaling. First off, even though I may like happy planners and I like to do the sticker thing, look, I don't have time to be doing stickers all the time. I need the bullet planner to be practical. So this is just like an example of how I use it. So literally, I will take each day, I look at my actual planner, and I can't pull my phone because I'm on my phone, but I will look at my Google Calendar, my handheld calendar, and then look at any emails or anything that it's like asking me to do something. And I look at all of the timelines of when things are due. And so what I will do is I will label it, and I label it kind of like based off of top priorities. So the top thing that I have listed is my self-care. And the reason why I have that listed as the top priority is because I'm one of those people that I already know when I get into a task, I'm so focused, I don't want to do anything else. But that requires me to get into block scheduling, and I'm not going to talk about that today. But I list self-care first, and then I have family, and family meaning like anything that I need to do or anything that collectively, like family tasks that need to be done. And that can get as detailed as you want. So, and then next I have the college in which I work at, and I have whether it's an email I need to send or something to follow up with, I list those tasks underneath there. Any boards or working groups that I'm involved with, I list them, and then whatever task they're asking me to do there. And then I also have the DRW brand. So you're probably wondering, like, why is that not first? Like, why is that further down on the list? And a lot of it for me, it's by priority and how my day goes. So self-care first, family stuff, college stuff happens during the day. Board meeting things kind of happen, or working groups happen during the day, but kind of into the like late afternoon, depending on what it is. And then DRW stuff, it happens from late evening into the evening. That's just what it is. And so it's a list of priorities, but it doesn't mean that I don't respond to an email during the day. It just really depends. But I'll have to get into a whole nother conversation about how I keep myself organized with emails, because emails will suck the life out of you and you'll be sitting on emails all day. Nobody has time for that. And then lastly, if I am participating in anything as a student, so if I'm taking any courses, like I'm taking a course at the college, or pursuing any other educational degrees or whatever, I have that listed too. So then that way I know, like, wait a minute, that's due on Wednesday. And what do I need to do? And so after I have the topics listed, I will then look at the task themselves and then decide, okay, this task is going to take me 5 minutes. If I'm going to journal, I want to block the time for like 5 minutes, because it's a handwritten journal. When I do my self-care, which is taking a walk in the neighborhood or getting on the spin bike, that's going to be 15 to 30 minutes. And over time, I want the self-care time to be about 60 minutes, which I plug in more of that time over the weekend. Look at the nails. See? Do my own nails, chrome. But that's a whole nother, like, I block that time at a different day because it's not something I have time to do every single day. And then the same thing with the family, like if there's appointments or whatever, or even dinner prep, like, am I cooking dinner tonight? Is my husband cooking dinner? Or is the 11-year-old cooking dinner? Which we don't want to talk about that. She already cooks lunch, and I usually eat breakfast and dinner. No shade, just saying. And then of course, like I said, with the college, like there's a lot of different layers that happen with the college, whether it's preparing for a class, teaching the class, being on committees, leading committees, and like what's the schedule and flow of that. So I'm thinking I'm going to end up just vlogging about how to manage these things. And so I'll talk about those a little bit more in another vlog. And then again, like I said, for the board meeting stuff, like board meeting, working groups, it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's not something I have to do every day, but it's something I need to be aware of, like, oh yeah, I need to make sure that I check, Basecamp to see if there's any task or anything that I'm supposed to be doing. And then same thing with DRW, like I have to make sure that I'm talking with marketing. Do I have the objectives in place? And is there anything that production is doing? So there's just different things that you have to keep in mind. And then as I'm moving forward with this brand, there's going to be a whole nother layer, which is that actually working with clients. So just keeping that in mind, I'm just trying to like help you all see, like, how do I manage? But I wanted to at least give you the background story to say, this didn't happen overnight. This is because I have a mother that taught me to set goals, and recognizing for myself that the value of setting those goals. And so this is what I want to close out with. If it wasn't for her teaching me the importance of writing goals and how to actually persevere through goals, I think about all the families and clients that I've worked with in my career path. So here's the silver lining and what's really interesting. I would have never thought that me writing goals at 10 and 11 years old would be the very thing that I would be doing as an adult. So those of you that are worked in social work, if you've been a case manager, or if you've been a special education teacher, the biggest part of your job, your role, is writing goals. And we do what's called SMART goals. That's a whole nother conversation. But if it wasn't for me having the skill at a young age, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today. So goal setting is really important, but most importantly, it's not about just setting the goal, but it's how are you going to reach the actual goal. So I hope today's vlog was really helpful. So how I reach my goals is definitely, there's a number of things that I do, but definitely breaking those goals down into tasks is what helps me manage through my day-to-day operations. Anyways, friends, continue to be blessed in nature, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, take care.